And things to help you to be steadfast, and every time you want to fall, you'll find something to push you to keep you on the sirat. It's the opposite. You're walking on the sirat and all kinds of temptations on both sides. And when you're walking, the Quran called you to be steadfast on the sirat. It's like the awakening that a Muslim would have. Whether it's a non-Muslim become a Muslim, or a Muslim, he had this yaqala, this awakening, right? What am I doing with my life? Why am I just in state of forgetfulness? I need to be a good Muslim. So he repents to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wants to follow the truth and so on. So he starts being on the salat and make the salah and so on. But then while he's walking, there is these doors covered with a curtain. So the shaitan opened the curtain. The hadith did not say do not enter these doors and then take some time there and then you repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and come back. No, he said do not open the doors. Because if you open it, you will enter it. You don't have any capacity to be patient. We are weak, or human beings are weak. So if a person just opened this curtain, that means he just looked at the fitna. He just looked, he got to, as the Prophet ﷺ said, Man istashraf al-fitna istashrafat, when we talked about that before, whoever look up into the fitna, it would look up into him and it will take him away. Because it's stronger than him. We're weak. And that's why even if a person is Shaykh al-Islam, if he goes closer to the sin and take the means to be very close to it, the normal action after that is that he's going to fall into the sin. That's why we are ordered to run away, to flee from the fitan, to stay away from it. So as-sirat al-mustaqim, we need to understand how to be steadfast on it, one of which is by this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that we do not open these curtains, because we know from ourselves, we should not think good of ourselves that we're strong, mashallah. But if you open it, you will enter it as the Prophet ﷺ said. So this is as-sirat al-mustaqim. This is what it's meant as the Prophet ﷺ said and as it's mentioned in the Quran. So then the last question tonight inshallah ta'ala is بماذا يتأتى سلوكه والسلامة من الانحراف عنه. How then can we be steadfast on the sirat and to protect ourselves from deviating from it, because it's only one sirat. And as we know that if a person is steadfast in the sirat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make him steadfast on the sirat in the day of judgment. So it's two sirat, one in this life and one in the hereafter. The one in the hereafter, underneath which is the hellfire, on the other side is Jannah. Whoever passes on that one in this life, he will be steadfast in the one in the day of judgment. Whoever on the sirat here in this dunya, very stable, very strong, he will be very strong and fast. And as we know in the day of judgment, people will pass the sirat, the believers. The disbelievers will enter fire before that, before there's even sirat, because they're not even on the sirat, right? As the hadith says, it's the Quran calls people to start to be on the sirat, right? So for the disbelievers, they're not even on any sirat, so they will be in hellfire before that. Only the believers in the day of judgment will cross the sirat on the hellfire. Only the believers, only the Muslims. Some of them, the Prophet ﷺ said they would fall into the hellfire. Some of them would pass like a blink of an eye, and their speed decreases, right? Till some would, would crawl and stand, and the less the person is speed on the sirat, the more the hellfire will get him. There are two hooks, or there are hooks on both sides of the sirat to take the person down. Right? So the only thing that would get the person on the other side, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one's actions. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His mercy, He gave us in this life an idea to see whether we are weak on the sirat, slow on the sirat, or are we strong and we flee to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every time we get to know that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, then that would give us an indication how would we be in the salat in the hereafter. So the matter has to be taken very serious, and of course everything is by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says here, لا يحصل ذلك, you would never be steadfast on the salat al-mustaqim إلا بالتمسك بالكتاب والسنة والسير بسيرهما والوقوف عند حدودهما. That a person can never do that unless he hold fast to the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You walk when they get you to walk. You stop when they get you to stop. You don't stop unless they tell you to stop. You don't walk unless they tell you to walk. That means you do things because the Quran and the Sunnah orders you to do. You don't do things because the Quran and the Sunnah, there's nothing in the Quran and the Sunnah for you to do it, so you don't do it. So doing and not doing, both is from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. وبذلك يحصل تجريد التوحيد لله. And this is how you, the word tajreed is to be sincerely the most pure way of the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, does not have any impurities in it. It's very pure. When a person would follow the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tajreed al-muttaba'a wa and that you follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the most perfect way without any impurities in this. ومن يطع الله ورسوله فأولئك مع الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين وحسن أولئك رفيقا. Whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as the ayah says, these are the ones with those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed His favor upon from the prophets and the truthful ones, the siddiqeen, and the martyrs and the salihin, the righteous ones. وحسن أولئك رفيقا. What is a better companion than this? Rafiqa, why? Because it's salat. It's a path. You need companions on the path, because if you're alone, you'll feel more tired, you will fall easy. So in this dunya, the same thing. So that's why when a person feels that sometimes that he is a stranger, he's alone, following the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, he should remember that the same path, the same Salat al-Mustaqim, who walked on it before? Prophets, truthful ones, the martyrs, the righteousness, right? So when he think of these people, he would never feel alone anymore. He won't feel outcast, right? This is one of the most difficult fitnas that afflicts people nowadays. They want to fit in with everyone else. They don't want to be looked at as people that are looking weird or strange and so on. But remembering this, reading the Quran, getting to know the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, a person would be with them, not necessarily physically, but with his soul, with his steadfastness, till he meet them after this life. And then he says, وَهَؤُلَاءِ الْمُنْعَمِ عَلَيْهِمْ الْمَذْكُرُونَ هَهُنَا تَفْصِيلًا هم الذين أضاف الصلاة إليهم في فاتحة الكتاب بقوله تعالى اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. These are the ones that are mentioned in this ayah, is basically the explanation of اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. Who are the ones that أنعمت عليهم? Are the ones that we heard. Prophets, the level after prophethood is as-siddiqeen, the truthful ones. And of course the head of them is Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. The level that comes after that is as-shuhada, the martyrs, then the righteous ones. Then he says, وَلَا أَعْظَمَ نِعْمَةً عَلَى الْعَبْدِ مِنْ هِدَايَتِهِ إِلَى هَذَا الصِّرَاطِ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. There is no better ni'mah on the slave of Allah than to be guided on as-sirat al-mustaqim. This is the biggest ni'mah. When we say this, the person has to mean it, right? And we have to see as a result of that the worst punishment, as we said before, the worst punishment in this life is not again a lightning comes from the skies that hits the person that is committing injustices and sins and so on. No, the worst punishment is for that person not to get this great ni'mah, not to be guided. So he will be more and more deviated, so that he will die in that deviation, so that he will enter the hellfire forever. But again, because the hearts, when it's attached to this dunya, we look at the punishment and the goodness with the matters of this dunya. Dunya has no value to it whatsoever to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if it has any weight to it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not have given a kafir sharbata ma, a sip of water from it. So when we value this life this way, this is a problem. We should value the hereafter. And we take from this dunya what is for the hereafter. It doesn't mean that we will be living in difficult ways in this dunya, but the way that we see things, the ways that our hearts are attached to, definitely is what with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter. So that a person would not say, how come so and so, how come these people, how come, you see so many injustices, so many sins, and people are just having more fun in their life. If they are committing more injustices, this is the worst punishment. The real punishment is when a person is deviated from the salat. The real ni'mah is to be guided on the salat. And if a person doesn't say that, he needs to review his religion, he needs to review his Islam. He needs to go back, right, and renew his, I'm not saying he's a disbeliever or anything, but they always say that in Arabic. يجدد إيمانه, يجدد إسلامه, that he renew his iman, renew his Islam, right? Why? Because there is misunderstanding here. Then the last sentence he says, again ولا أعظم نعمة على العبد من هدايته إلى هذا الصراط المستقيم وتجنيبه السبل المضلة and to be protected from the evil paths or the deviant paths. وقد ترك النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أمته على ذلك. And this is how the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم left his ummah on this, on the clear way. As he said عليه الصلاة والسلام تركتكم على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها أو لا يزيغ بعدي إلا هالك. That I left you on المحجة البيضاء, the way, the white way, the clear way. Its night is like its day. لا يزيغ عنها, no one will be deviated from it after me except someone that is halik, someone that is perished and destroyed. That means the matter is so clear, it's not confusing. So another conclusion, as we said it last time, if there is something that is confusing, stay away from it, because the deen is clear. Confusion is not part of the deen. Even if it sounds, if I do this, maybe it's better for my deen. If it's confusing, you stick to what is clear. The muhkamat, الواضحات, especially in the times of fitna. But mutashabihat and opinions, and should we do this or should we do that, and it's not clear. We're talking about matters of deen, not matters of sins. If it's not clear, we stay away from it. The Prophet ﷺ left us on the things that is so clear. There's no ambiguity in it whatsoever. If something that is ambiguous, we run away from it till matters becomes very clear. Then after that he says, now ضد السنة. What negates the Sunnah, what's opposite to the Sunnah, which is the subject of a series of questions about the bid'ah. What is the bid'ah that is mukaffirah, takes the person outside the fold of Islam? What is the bid'ah that is not mukaffirah, and the definitions of it, and so on, and the different classifications of it. صلى الله عليه وسلم.